Now, for the past 40 years, Transformers has always been one of the most infamous franchises. You take two things that kids love growing up, right? Robots and cars, you put it together and you get Transformers. Now, these things first started off as toys that everyone took control of with their own imagination until G1 had come out. Now, the Transformers that we know now and the G1 are, yeah, they're completely different. These clunkheads went from silly little robots to terrifying aliens that commit the worst of the worst world crimes and heinous tortures just for the heck of it. I mean, these guys literally only came to Earth just to get some energon and get a little kick to restore their home.
Suck this Earth planet dry!
I mean, in these, they literally destroy all of Chi-Town. I mean, what is going on? I mean, to be fair, the rappers born of this tragedy were probably hitting. I'm not even gonna hold you. Anyways, when the cartoon was first made, it was an instant hit, and it made all of these characters iconic in the eyes of children and adults, and to the point that it did well enough to get its own movie. The movie got a better budget to work with, and then the movie had ended up coming out after the show was finished. Now, let me give y'all a little bit of backstory before we get into this bloodbath of a movie. This show had gone on for 3 years, okay? Giving characters rich backstories, making us all attached, you know? Main characters going on countless adventures, getting into little tussles and all that, you know? Clips being unloaded, rocket launchers with switches, all of these things, but never killing any of these guys. Like, these guys would get caught in nuclear level explosions and then waltz right out with them hashtag markings on their faces, and then they'd hit a classic, "This is getting interesting." Worst thing that would happen is they would get knocked out and wake right back up and ready to throw hands still. Now, keep that in mind. When the movie came out, all of those mythos were tossed right out of the window. Right when this film starts, it's already a whole traumatic experience.
No! Such heroic nonsense.
Suckers that got whole episodes dedicated to them just getting brutally mutilated on screen. Like, you watch the light fade from their eyes. We got dudes taking bombs straight to the chest, legs getting blown off. Prime gets like a whole clip unloaded into his chest, and he hits Megatron with a whammy punch, and he just dies. After that, all the bots retreat and regroup, and Prime dies on a hospital bed. Huh? Kids and parents were in an absolute outrage when this happens. Kids going into the theater with their Optimus Prime action figures, just ready to see their glorious GOAT, just for him to just die on screen during the first 20 minutes of the movie. I mean, to be honest, they probably didn't even watch the rest of the film because they were just freaking crying the whole time. You could probably imagine the trauma that this caused these kids after witnessing this. A lot of other shows were coming out during the same time, making great shows and little movies, so Transformers doing this was way out of left. Like, imagine Twilight Sparkle and Apple Dash just getting skinned alive and turned into leather coats or something. Or Pikachu getting paralyzed from the neck down. Or imagine Grumpy Bear becoming an alcoholic and getting into a life-altering car crash. Alright, I gotta calm down. I'm calming down. That was my fault. I'm sorry. Right from the first film of this franchise, Right from the first film of this franchise, Transformers had done nothing but continue to not pull punches and traumatize young children. So today, we're gonna be sitting back, relaxing, and look at all the trauma and brutality and animosity of the Transformers franchise. So I hope you enjoy.
Before time began, there was... Shut up, Grandma!
2 decades after making Transformers G1, Hasbro had come out and was looking for the next toy line they would use to make a blockbuster movie. Would it be Trouble? Would it be Battleship? Or would it be Transformers? It was Transformers. So Transformers was greenlit with Michael Bay set to direct the movie, and it would later come out in 2007. Now, I actually grew up with Bayformers. This was my first time being exposed to these characters, so I have a lot of nostalgia and actual like favorability towards these designs. But like, good lord, are they so off? It kind of seems like Michael Bay just like skimmed through the cartoon, learned the characters' names, and just decided to go with whatever. As awful as these character designs are, he actually kind of revolutionized the way that these characters were seen by an entire generation. A good example would be Bumblebee being seen as a mute character that never speaks and doesn't have a mouth, was completely made up by Bay, and you see how many other iterations of the character takes inspiration from that. Prime also never had a mouth, So I can imagine it was probably weird to see him with a big old schnoz and some lips. Ironhide was also drastically changed and became one of the most iconic characters in Bay's movies, but he was red and barely in G1. Well, not barely, but he kind of also died in the first like 5 minutes. They gave him they really gave dude the cliff jumper treatment. I don't know why they feel the need to like brutally murder this guy in every transform. And anyways, I'm getting off topic. The movie was probably the most masculine and testosterone induced movie that has ever been brought to theaters. With Transformers already being literally anything a young boy could want mashed together, plus Michael Bay's weird horniness that he brings to his movies, it was destined to turn out this way. From starting off as a young kid show to a traumatic, realistic war film of death and tragedy and despair to Testosterone the movie. There were a lot of things changed. One thing definitely wasn't the brutality. Now, everybody knows Optimus Prime, right? The great leader, you know? The noble, inspiring guy that can't help but speak in incredible Shakespearean quotes and fights fair for the Autobots, right? Yeah, Prime is a complete menace in this franchise. He's a maniac. He's not too bad in the first movie, but his madness kind of just like spirals out of control.
Fact that the defendant...
am not crazy!
Like I said, Prime's not too bad in the first movie, you know? They come on the Earth, they do some shenanigans, he murders this Decepticon, but like, this is light. This is light. Anyways, as the movie goes on, we get introduced to Megan Fox and Bumblebee and stuff. And, you know, it's kind of got this cute little Iron Giant feel that they kind of do in the Bumblebee movie later. As the plot advances, Bumblebee gets captured. So after Bumblebee gets captured, Prime's like, yo, I gotta take myself out, man. Like, here's the plan. I'm finna use this cube to off myself so that Megatron can never get it. And the gang is like, all right. But anyway, Sam ends up using the cube to kill Megatron and ruin Prime's plan. But it's fine because Megatron bites the dust and Prime ends the movie off with a speech looking over the sunset about how beautiful humanity is, while like half of the city is in shambles and countless families have been destroyed and broken apart. Like I said, Prime isn't too bad in this movie, but some seeds are planted and just continue to sprout for the rest of the franchise.
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香港这座城市的社区。
Transformers Revenge of the Fallen hits theaters and it's absolute buns. It's got some good things in it, but the movie is just buns. It basically rewrites everything in the first movie about how long Transformers had been on Earth, and that kind of becomes a reoccurring theme throughout the rest of the franchise. Michael Bay really had no idea what he was doing. First, they came to Earth for the first time ever in Part 1. Then in Transformers 2, hey, they've been here since the pyramids, and they also built the pyramids. Anyways, third movie, we find out they were the reason that they went to the moon, which is probably the only one of these that, like, genuinely makes sense. Then in Part 4, they're the reason for the dinosaurs going extinct. But for some reason, the dinosaurs here have absolutely nothing to do with the Dinobots, which also doesn't make any sense at all, because I don't even want to get into this. Then in Part 5, we find out that Earth has been a Transformer all along. The second part opens up instantly tapping more into Prime's insanity. We get introduced to the great villain Big Wheel from Spider-Man, and Prime instantly takes him down and shoots him. And yeah, you see this, guys? Yeah, no, I meant the blood stain on Big Wheel's tires. As these movies go on, you kind of start to realize that the care for collateral damage and human lives just continues to decline and decline. Like, these guys literally just destroyed an entire bridge with countless people coming back home from their 9-to-5s to their wives and children just to get sent to their creator without a second thought. Prime takes him down, and he's obviously down, and he's not able to attack any longer. Like, this guy's genuinely, like, probably paralyzed. His legs are in shambles. And this guy drops a one-liner that the Fallen will return, and Prime just puts a bullet in his eyes and drops another one-liner. Optimus goes on to find Sam, and he's like, yo, the Decepticons are finna return, bro, so, like, we gotta lock in. And Sam is like, nah, I got fine shot over here, bro, and I'm too busy cracking robo buns to listen. So he leaves, and guess who's getting kidnapped?
Just don't hurt us.
So Prime's already gotta show up like a pissed mother. You know, like a pissed mother when she's got to give you her jacket because she told you it was going to be cold, but your little self wanted to wear a t-shirt. So Prime's showing up pissed and he gets straight to business. Megatron is catching nothing but straight beams, so he decides to run away. Megatron's like, yo, I know a spot, and takes Prime to the woods, instantly jumping straight onto OP. I mean, these suckers are throwing trees, branches, kicking up dirt. I mean, all Megatron did was make this fight easier for him. Then bro knows at this point he's cooked, so he's got to call on his boys to jump Prime. Now, let me remind y'all, Prime is already pissed because he warned Sam, but he didn't want to listen. And now on top of that, he's getting jumped. Prime jumps onto this sucker's shoulders and rips his face in 2 pieces, yelling out that he's gonna take them all alive. Even his initials say OP. Overpowered. This guy starts throwing straight hands right back at these guys, brutally murdering them and embarrassing their memories in front of their leader. He was genuinely so angry, he started straight insulting them. Anyways, Megatron got to sneak up and ups the pole on Prime and kills him. Later during the movie, they do all this boring side plot stuff, blah blah blah. We bored because Prime's dead and we just want Prime to come back. There's a couple fart jokes and they bring Prime back to life, and this dude don't give a single thank you or any sign of appreciation or anything towards anybody. He suits up instantly and leaves like some of y'all young bucks when you get that "I'm late" text. Prime flies to the Fallen and gets straight to business. That's what I liked about this part, is that this dude instantly destroyed his device. He didn't waste no time trying to talk or nothing. He instantly gets straight to business. And all that anger and animosity is going straight into Megatron's face. This guy catches his weak right hook, breaks his arm, and makes him shoot himself in the face. He had that boy hitting Berleezy sound effects. Not even giving him a moment to catch himself before he hits him with his jets and had bro screaming for his homeboy. Now, not gonna lie, I would have loved to get done like Megatron if I was the Fallen. This guy brings out his knife and just chops the Fallen's lips like straight off. He stabs him right through his jugular with his own stab and rips his face off. What? Punches his heart out of his chest and straight up crushes it in front of his eyeballs. Like, what? While all of this is happening, Megatron is just like sitting there watching his idol getting brutally torn to shreds in front of his eyes. I mean, this was like the moment when all those underground rappers found out that Cardi was going around wearing thongs. This jit literally had lava pouring out of his mouth and was slumped at Prime's feet. Just remember, Megatron was never the same after this moment.
I'm still stewing about that binder incident, Jerry.
May I finish my Shuhua milk, Donnie?
I don't care about your exotic milk. I care about respect.
I think this is the pinnacle of Prime's insanity. Now, before we start, I want y'all to remember all the stuff he had to go through in the first movie, bro. He had to watch his homeboy get ripped in half. He had to see his homeboy getting tortured. He had to fight his brother. He was getting mollywopped by his homeboy, and then he couldn't even complete his plan at the end, bro. So remember that, and then remember everything in the second movie. This sucker got beat up unfairly, straight up murdered, had his chest blown up, chest pieces flying everywhere, brought back to life, and now he's got to deal with all of this, bro. So in this movie, Prime finds out that the government had been lying to them about their acknowledgement of other Decepticons. So they're gotta go all the way out to get this guy back from the moon. And that's like, yeah, that's Sentinel Prime, like everybody knows that. Right from the bat, Sentinel Prime and Prime, they click like brothers they've known since day one. Sentinel is like a father figure to Prime. Prime is happy, Earth is beautiful. They go into Africa to look at the sunsets. That part didn't really make sense to me why they had to go to Africa, but I mean, they went to Africa to watch the sunsets. Now, thinking about it, Prime went through all this stuff to make him angry and push him over the edge, and now he finally has a homeboy, a father figure that he could relate to. Just for that homeboy and father figure to turn on his back and slime his day one bodyguard and turn him into some monster that just falls apart. I mean, I was mad when I first saw this, like Ironheart was one of my homies. At this point, Prime is just itching to Swiss cheese someone. He's just itching to unload that clip. Just for the humans to be like, yo, nah, we not messing with you no more, bro. I know that you never met this dude in your life, but because he went crazy, that all falls on you. So we sending y'all jokers to space. Don't know how this plan made any sense, but anyways, that's what they do. So Prime's blood is probably boiling right now when he hears his plan, bro. But he knows he's got to save these pathetic freaking ant creatures because that's all he knows what to do. Anyways, they send them all the way to space and they explode, and all the other Decepticons are like, yo, the bots are gone, yo. We can start terraforming Chicago. So they start terraforming Chicago, and this is straight up depressing, bro. We got people in City View apartments just getting straight up obliterated, civilians being vaporized. I mean, this is borderline R-rated. Like, this is bleak. Just when things seem to feel like it's gonna end, Prime and the boys all return in the most epic comeback scene you have ever seen. I mean, back in 2010, bro, this was our Avengers Endgame, man. And Prime is just ready to fight. Just for him to get tangled up in some freaking wires while he was flying, bro.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all are hearing me right now. Imagine being Prime, all this stuff, and you ready to just slaughter these Decepticons just to get tangled up in some wires, bro. You think it's a pain having to detangle your hair? Imagine Prime. He's the knot in the detangled. He's sitting up there, tangled up, and he's just listening to all his homeboys getting slaughtered. He's listening to his homeboy slaughtering everybody. Like, he's literally missing out on all the fun. Now, eventually, he gets himself untangled, and he just goes straight for the bloodbath. I mean, this scene is beautiful. He is running in the streets, slaughtering whoever and whatever. It does not matter. A cat stuck in the road crying for help? Yeah, nah, that's a stain in the road now. Your grandma was crossing the street? She should have looked both ways. Your homeboy's being held captive by some Decepticons? He's with the Lord now, bro. You hear these screams he's letting out? Yo, these are not screams because he's hyped to be in the battlefield. These are screams of pure rage. These are Kratos type screams. This guy somersaults in the shockwave, punching his ribs clean off, and rips out his eyeball. While this is all going down, I just remember thinking as a kid, like, yo, where is Megatron? Where has Megatron been this whole time? He been hiding in the alley.
Is this serious?
Megatron ends up getting flamed by Sam's little birdie, so he reminds himself like, yo, I gotta lock in, man. So he decides to go out and help Prime, like that's gonna calm bro down. I mean, this dude got his arm ripped off. At this point, Prime is literally just seeing red. They end up working together to take out Sentinel, and Megatron is basically like, man, yo, we low-key killed that, yo. We should start working together, man. Like, who would we be without each other? Before the sucker could even finish his sentence, Prime is already halfway through the air in a flying cartwheel with one arm and rips Megatron's head clean off, bro. He was again yelling out some gibberish, trying to get his last words out while Prime was ripping out his throat and everything, bro. Meanwhile, Sentinel is just sitting there on all fours, terrified. Like, he can't even look Prime in his eyes. He don't even know what he's about to do with him. He don't know what to do, so he just start hitting bro with a guilt trip, trying to make him anything. Prime ain't having it, so Sentinel just straight up begs for his life to the point where he starts slobbering everywhere. How is this even? Can Transformers salivate? I don't know. This might have been just something they made up for this. Prime does not want to hear all this, so he ups the heat and blows his brain straight out. Yo, was that blood? This is literally straight up gore now. Anyways, the movie ends and Prime just sort of stands there, gives his final speech, and the movie ends. So, yeah. That was the brutality of Michael Bay's Transformers along with the original Transformers. And yeah, it seems that they're gonna keep taking that route, which I'm not complaining about. It's low-key pretty heat. I can't even complain. And don't ask where 4 and 5 are, please. I can't bring myself to watch those again.
I'm an inventor. This could be a game changer for me. If I can apply that technology to my inventions, we never have to worry about money again.